Also, I went through a slight, sort of, I wouldn't say like a deep depression, but a type of sort of just questioning of like, what's the point? Like I've just been like running and running and constantly on tour. And what's the point of, why do I even need to make music anymore?
Yukimi, thank you so much for being here. It's an absolute privilege to have someone who has just such a legacy, and like I am so impressed by you as a person, and I can't wait to hear your story about like motherhood, because I feel like if you're this impressive as an artist, you're going to be really impressive as a mother.
I don't know about that, but thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And congratulations on the new album, the solo album.
Thank you.
How
Thank you.
exciting. How does it
Yeah.
feel?
Feels, it's a big step, and it feels surreal to have it out because I've been living with the music now. So yeah, it feels really good to have the music out and to like let go of it. So I don't have to, I don't really listen to my music after it's out. Then I let it do its thing.
Yeah.
That's so nice. How's the reception been from the album since you've put it out into the world?
I think it's been good. Yeah, I think it's been good. I mean, I don't really pay too much attention, you know what I mean? But I feel like I've been getting a lot of love. I gotta be honest. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Is that really intentional for you? Like you just want to put the music out there, you've let it into the world. You don't need to look at what people are saying, or it's just what feels right for you.
I mean, I'll look on like the socials and stuff, but I'm not like monitoring stats and streams and stuff like that. I have people around me who do, but I don't personally put so much energy into that specifically.
What is success to you for something like an album? Like, if it's not streams and stuff, obviously, but like, what does success look like for you or feel like for you for an album?
It really is also the process of having an idea and just going through the whole journey of seeing it come to life. And then, that day when you release the album, from the day that, I sort of decided to make a solo album, it was a whole process there in between. So I'd say, obviously there have been lots of ups and downs through that process, but I love, putting stuff out there. That's a big joy for me to share. So
yeah, wow.
And we're here to talk to you today about motherhood, but I was going to ask you, how does your son, does he listen to your music? What does he think? Is he someone you share your music with before it's released into the world? Or
You have 2 sons, right?
yeah, two boys.
Yeah.
Well, they don't really have a choice because I'm listening to mixes and stuff. And both of them are on the album, and little intro parts of the album. And they're very much up for hearing that. And then once the song starts, they'll be like, okay, I'm over it.
I heard my part.
No, but I do remember when I was mixing the songs that like my older son was like humming certain melodies and stuff, because I'm sort of listening to things through the process of like mixing, you listening many times, and sometimes that, I'll work all day and then like after dinner or whatever, I'll have another listen and see whatever I need to change and stuff. So the kids are there and then suddenly they're humming the melodies or whatever.
Wow.
That's so nice.
How old are your boys?
4 and 9. Yeah.
Beautiful. My daughter's about to turn 4. Like in 6 months, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a 1.5-year-old.
Oh, wow.
Let's start with son number 1. What's his name? And
His name is Jackson. Both of them are born in Gothenburg, in Sweden. And I started touring kind of lightly when he was like 9 months.
Wow.
And I think, I'd also been very much on a roll before he came into my world. So having like a break for 9 months was like a big break for me, but
Was it tough?
yeah, very tough. But I slowly realized that, I kind of, it wasn't maybe the healthiest way of just like constantly being on the road, and it was pretty nonstop, which is, in certain ways it was a beautiful place to be, but then, everything can become too much. So, and it wasn't very rock and roll bringing a baby on tour, to be honest. So it was definitely felt like vacation to come home. I was like, oh my God. He had a lot of energy, and, eating meals at restaurants and stuff every day was exhausting. And he had a lot of just needed to run around everywhere. So I'd be like, do show, the babysitter would watch Jackson, get back on the bus, wake up early, like find a park. It was intense. It was intense.
Yeah.
Touring is intense enough, but also adding parenting on top of that.
How did you find like stillness within all of that? Like that seems like a lot of chaos, but like how did you ground yourself and your son in all of that?
I'm still trying to find stillness, to be honest. And I think that's because like I have a little bit of a tendency to be a bit of a, workaholic type of personality. But I think I kind of have defined my priorities, and my kids are my first priority. My health is kind of there on second and first place as well. And third is my music. So if I get restless and confused, I'm like, well, I am doing what I should be doing here in the park with my kids anyway. So
that's a great way to keep grounded. Did you tour when you were pregnant as well with both of your sons?
I did with Jackson up until 7 months, and then with Ellie it was COVID, so I was about to go on the road.
Oh yeah, true, because he's 4.
And then I was like, yes. No, I'm just kidding. But
that was the stillness that you needed.
That was yeah.
There you go.
Definitely.
So who were you signed to at the time of your first of Jackson's pregnancy? Because I always wonder like how, like it was, I guess 9 years ago is quite a long time, and I feel like the industry has changed so much in terms of like how it supports women who are pregnant. How did the label support you during that time, and like agents, and like how did the industry support you?
I think by the time Jackson came, we kind of were in a place where I'd say it's probably after Nabuma Rubber Band. So I think we also had kind of gotten to a point with the band where we'd felt like we were the up and coming band. We're the up and coming band, and we felt like we were there forever. And then suddenly we weren't the up and coming band anymore. And it was like, wait, we're not the up and coming band? What happened? What are we now? No, you guys have been around. So you kind of have your highs and lows, like through the cycle of releasing different albums. And I think we had a pretty steady, we were lucky though, because it wasn't like, and then downfall. It was very steady, and we had we have still like a very great fan base.
And were they supportive of your pregnancy and your...
I didn't really say much about it, to be honest. I kind of kept it to myself, because I've always, I've felt very private with my kids, and like, I'm here for my music, not for really anything else. But this album is a bit different because I really wanted to be personal, and they're just such a big part of my life. So I couldn't have it any other way than have them on this record and have them be part of it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about your kind of decision to keep offline, and that you kind of answered it then. And so this album is very much about your journey through motherhood and your journey as a mother.
Right.
Tell us about the album. Tell us about where it started, where it came from.
It started with a bunch of different just ideas and demos in the studio, and obviously different things that I've been reflecting on in my own personal journey and as a mother. And, hopes and fears and dreams, and definitely just the the realizing that, you know, some of the ideas of what that I had of being a parent, you know, like were very just naive in a sense, because it's like I just had this sort of idea. I don't think that I like anything really has challenged me as much in my sort of growth as a human being as my kids, to be honest. And still, I'm still like learning all the time to, more than anything, try to grow up and like I have a lot of emotions within myself that I can't contain, and it's like hard for me to teach my kids to contain theirs when I barely can contain my own. So yeah, I think just the journey of trying to be wiser and enjoy life and love myself and just, you know, love this precious journey of being here.
It's so interesting to hear you say, like, talk about having big feelings and stuff, because do you feel like you, through your music, you can channel those big feelings? And do you, second to that, do you want to find a way for your boys to have a way to channel their and express their big feelings?
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
For me, it's been a savior. I feel like I can get a lot of energy out of my system when I perform and when I write. And, you know, it's saved me through so many things in life that have been painful or that have need healing or that have need to be addressed, you know, that I've sort of pushed down. So I think that it's, for me personally, it's been very important, but like whatever way they choose to do that is sort of their own. And I've certainly tried to be like, hey guys, let's sing and dress up. And they're like, no, you can do that.
I was going to ask, what do they do?
Jackson is like into stuff that's completely different from what I'm into. You know, he'll be into like crushing rocks and, you know, climbing and just all over the place, running around. And yeah, I think maybe Ellie has a little more similar interests, like, you know, but it's, you know, it's like they're their own, you know, and as much as I want them to like, hey, let's do breakdance, it's like, no, I don't want to, Mom. You can't force me.
I feel you on that, because I always, like, when Jeannie was really little, I would always like kind of curate what she was listening to and like project all these things onto her. And now she's just like, she's her own person, and you kind of have to relinquish control a bit. And you're just like, okay, you're going to be you. And I can just control what I can control, which is, you know, my artistic practice and stuff like that.
Right.
And then, you know, they can do their own thing.
100%.
I think that's the kind of joy of motherhood, though. I think that's the amazing thing about it. You know, it kind of confronts you with these things and makes you go, okay, no, that's about me. It's not about them. I have to kind of allow them to be who they are, and it's not for me to put on my own stuff, which I think is probably one of my favorite things about the journey of being a mother. You know, kind of that mirror and making me assess what is actually important, or the things that I'd like to maybe alter in my own life. Yeah,
right, exactly that. And same for me. I feel like it's an opportunity to over and over and over make mistakes and reflect and get new chances, and and also like you can be blind for it and just like be the way you've always been, or you could like deal with guilt and shame and, you know, frustration and like all these things that just like creep onto you. And, you know, when you're mad, all of a sudden your mom just hops out of your mouth and just like out of nowhere.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's also interesting that you said that Jackson now still has all that energy, is running around, and you said that when he was really young he was the same, and it's kind of like he's just evolved from that point. And it's just, I just thought it was really interesting that, you know, that young baby, you could just tell who or what kind of spirit they had from such an early age. So he's always just been full of energy and wanting to be outside doing stuff.
100%. And once you get two, it's like crystal clear.
True.
It's he came out and was like latched onto my breast and was like super energized.
Wow.
From day one, and he's just had that type. It's like a frequency. And Ellie just came out like a little calm Buddha. I mean, he's changed, but he has a completely different air. And since day one,
That's so nice. And the age gap as well. I was going to ask, how's their relationship? I feel like it's probably sorry. What's the age? Is it 5 years apart? 4 years. Yeah, 5 years.
Yeah.
That's quite nice. Was there kind of, I can imagine, a lot of nurturing from Jackson to his younger brother, or was there some
I wish
some friction?
Oh my God, no, not a little friction, like a whole lot of friction. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That can happen. That makes sense. It makes sense.
I mean, still every single day it's like a battlefield.
Those big emotions. Get them singing.
Yeah.
Some screamo. Yeah.
Scream
all
band,
your
yeah.
advice. I'm here for advice, guys. Yeah, shoot.
I'm only a year and a half into it.
Yeah, I've got nothing.
I was going to say something, I guess, looking into your 9th year as a mother, and how do you feel like, I know we've kind of just touched on this, but how do you feel like it's evolved? And maybe even the second time round, did you feel more at ease going into that journey, or do you feel like you were like right back at square one and it was like starting all over again?
So much more at ease.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Yeah, so much more at ease. But I mean, I guess everyone's different. But for me,
For sure.
I also was pretty much 99% alone with Jackson until he was 3, and we moved in together with Ellie's dad, and so it was very intense to just have become a parent and be alone with kid and juggle a career and touring and all that stuff. So I'd say I just felt very much more chilled and less, sort of the dream of doing everything perfect was just thrown away. Like I wasn't concerned about like trying to get or an organic this and that. And I mean, of course, but like I was obsessed with Jackson. Like had to be, my sofa was going to be organic all of a sudden. And it was like, I just chilled out. So
that's nice to hear.
I hear this a lot from people who have multiples. Like, it's kind of refreshing in a way, because I think we all, with our first, like really, really overthink it.
Right.
It's an intense change in your life, and that's probably really a good question to ask. How was that change for you? I know you said that you'd obviously gone from being touring super busy to having to actually stop, which is quite, I mean, I found that with having my son as well, and I don't think I was touring on the same level as you, but having to stop and you go, okay, this is my new reality.
Right.
How long do you think it took you to adjust? Did you think you did adjust, or were you like you said, you were ready to get back into it, or just waiting to get back into it?
Well, I think it was like it kind of in a way broke like my identity in a way, because all of a sudden I was home, and I was also, since I was alone with him, I was like, I'll talk with anyone, just a grown up, just anyone in the park, just talk. I'm talk to anybody. So I guess also I went through a slight, sort of, I wouldn't say like a deep depression, but a type of sort of just questioning of like, what's the point? Like I've just been like running and constantly on tour, and what's the point of, why do I even need to make music anymore? And like, what's the point of making music? And, just sort of going through some questions that I never really sat down to ask myself before, like why am I doing what I'm doing, and is it important? Because I'd been just in such a frenzy.
What answers did you have to those questions? Like, I'd love to hear your take on like why you do what you do and like, yeah.
Well, I think at the time I just felt very like apathetic in a way, because it was just like also me not knowing how to slow down and being forced into it. So I think it was a very healthy thing and I needed it. But I found it also hard to really like slow down. But it was very necessary. But I think it made me feel like, you know, once I started doing it, made me feel like I was doing it because I wanted to. And it kind of slowly I slowly, you know, felt like I was becoming myself again. Yeah, it wasn't like I suddenly woke up one day and felt like I was myself. But like 2 weeks in, I was going to the studio with Jackson just because I had to be there. And I just wanted to like be in that space just to like not forget who I was. But now I think and also with Ellie, I kind of knew that I wasn't so scared of that, because it's like I knew that I wasn't going to lose that part of me. It's just like your focus is somewhere else, and you will come back to being you, sort of thing.
I went through a similar thing when Jeannie was about, oh gosh, I guess like 1 or so, and I kind of lost all hope in music. And I had a similar question, like, why am I doing this? And I even like planned to like stop doing it and not making music, but like I didn't want to be an artist anymore. I was just like, oh, I just want to make music and keep it for me. Right. But then I was like through therapy and like coaching and stuff, I realized it's actually, it probably was just like some kind of like postpartum depression type thing, or like loss of identity, and like, but I came out the other end just like you, and just like, no, I
think it's so much more common than we realize. And I think it's like you said, it's a version of postpartum depression, anxiety, or just recovery as well. Right. You know, like I think they say that it takes 2 years for your hormones to regulate after giving birth. Like, so that makes complete sense that you are not going to feel exactly the same as you did before, or you never feel the same again, but it takes a while to really regulate your system. I mean, I definitely experienced that. I think after a year and a half, I actually feel like, this sounds really crazy, I feel like today is probably one of the first days where I've actually felt like excited for the next part of my journey, I guess, within music. Prior to that, I've very much been like, I think I'm gonna have to leave this industry because it's not for me. But I mean, it probably is like partially the spring equinox and things like that too, which is kind of come at a perfect time. But I think also, a year and a half in, you know, baby starts to sleep a bit better, you get a bit better sleep.
100%.
I just stopped breastfeeding, you know, things like that.
So that's another really big step.
Were you breastfeeding on the road? Like,
yeah, I was on stage for the first one, like, with milk in my boobs.
Wow. Like little milk stains on stage.
Yeah.
As it should be.
No, but you know, like I still have those questions, to be honest. But I think that, you know, especially now when I'm about to go on the road and have to be away from my kids, and you know, I kind of ask myself, I get a little anxiety before, and I kind of ask myself, you know, like, is this really worth it? You know, I'm not going to go out and like not enjoy myself. I'm going to like enjoy myself as much as I can. I'm going to give everything that I have on stage, because I'm not about to leave my kids and be moany. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's so true.
You know, but once you make even though it's not maybe always a black and white decision, like, it's, you know, this, but once you make the decision and it becomes something that you choose and it's a meaningful thing, because you see the positive in it, you can make the best out of it, kind of.
Yeah.
But I still hear you guys. It's not easy to always balance it. And I think more than anything, just in a kind of stressful world and a industry that asks for a lot. I mean, it's not just like only writing music. I mean, I could do that easily every day, but it's like releasing music is a lot more than that. It's like
everything else,
posting, sharing, video, this, that, and there's all these different socials, and that's the main way to share. So you kind of like, that's how, if you want to share your music, that's how to do it. So there's that aspect that sometimes I feel like, I don't know if I signed up for this, you know what I mean? Like,
even the planning of touring, I was just thinking, for you, what does planning touring look like when having children, and how do you kind of navigate it?
I mean, it's a lot. Actually, I think one of the main problems is probably that I'm not a very organized person myself. So if I was like a very organized person, I think I would procrastinate less and but it's a lot of organization, sometimes Jackson will stay with my dad. Well, he would usually stay with my dad, and then Ellie will stay with his dad. And so there's that aspect. And then just now when I'm playing solo, I have different musicians with me, and then it's just checking all their availabilities. And then so it's a lot.
It's a machine.
It's a machine, but it's not constant. So I guess that's the sort of upside, is that you have periods that are slow, where you just like, so I'm so happy that I don't have a 9 to 5 where I go to the studio sometimes, lay on my yoga mat and sleep. It's okay.
You deserve that.
Thank you.
I think it's really cool how you're like role modeling to your children that, instead of giving up on your dreams and stuff for the sake of like the anxieties around, leaving them and stuff like that to go on tour, instead you're holding on to your dream and your authentic passion and true self and stuff. And they'll see that and just be so inspired to, like, when they're older, they'll probably reflect on it and be like, fuck, mom was doing that cool stuff. And I don't know, I think it's really awesome that you're still, doing this. And even though you have doubts and stuff at times, like you were saying, and it's really inspiring.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. Thank you. I think, everyone has a story, and everyone has their uniqueness, really. And I think that I think all of us should, own that space and own that and express it and share it. And, however that takes form or shape is unique. But I think that's one of the beautiful things about being human, is to create and to share. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And forget about good or bad. Everyone has something to say that is their own. Yeah. And, if not for anything else, then letting it out of your own spirit for your own, spirit's sake. I think that it's a very beautiful act. So
yeah, and that's such a beautiful intention when, for you as an artist, to have that intention is just so pure and beautiful. And I can see how there's your whole Little Dragon legacy and now your solo stuff, and it makes sense that it's had the success it has had, and it still has and will have forever. It's because of this really sincere and beautiful intention, I think. That you were just saying.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, now I'm just gushing.
I'm taking it in.
You know what? If we're gonna gush, I remember being at Reading Festival. I mean, I this might have been, no, you wouldn't be pregnant. I think it was before that. Reading Festival, maybe 10 plus years ago now. And I remember being way outside of a massive tent, and I just heard the beginning of Ritual Union, and so did so many people around me. And it was honestly crazy. Everyone just got up and ran. They ran.
Wow.
They ran. Wow. They ran in, me included. We all ran in when we heard the intro, and it was so special. So I just have to say that to you, because it's something that in my early days of going to festivals is one of my like favorite memories.
Oh wow.
It was really cool, and I feel like if that happened today, if people heard the intro, I think it would have the same effect, you know?
Right.
It's like a mating call.
How does that sit with you, like hearing stuff like that, like, and or are you like, because now that you've had kids, like, because obviously having children is like the most incredible and like crazy thing to ever do, but then has that having kids changed your perspective on things like that, like, because it's also so amazing to, I can imagine, to hear something like that and be like, oh my god, people are
Well, it is kind of like two different worlds, and they're both part of me, but they are not really intertwined. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, I think just doing a few shows beginning of year that I've done so far. You know, even though there's so many aspects, like what we were talking about the planning and making things work and the logistics, and that can almost give me anxiety to a certain extent. But once I'm on stage, it's like I come home there as well, and I feel home, and I remember that, this is also like my comfort space. Like, you know, like I just enjoy being on stage. Like, I savor it. I love it. It feels good to me. It feels just like, and I forget that sometimes because I'm just like so, you know, someone gives me dates and I'm like thinking about what it entails planning wise. But once I'm on stage, I feel at home. So I think it's just like what I was saying. It's like, you know, there will be a time in my life when hopefully, you know, when I won't have to plan things to the same extent. So it's like, you know, I kind of have this leading star in my sky, and sometimes, you know, it's cloudy and I can't see it, but it's still there. And sometimes it's a full moon and that's taking all energy, but it's always there. You know, that's kind of the thing I follow in my life. That's my own.
I love that. It's a nice visualization to have, actually. I like that.
Yeah, because then you don't feel as lost when it's like, when you don't see it. You might panic for a minute, but then you're like, oh yeah, you know, just the fog, just the fog.
Yeah. You were saying about like when you're on stage, you have this feeling of like, I just feel so at home and like connected and stuff. Do you, because I don't know about you guys, but like sometimes when, like I have that when I'm making music, not so much on stage because I'm not a stage performer, but when I have it when I'm making music, but also when I'm just like locked in with Jeannie, like when I'm like not on my phone, it just feels, it's that feeling of like, this feels good. This feels right. This feels, I don't know.
That's how you know you're doing the right thing, you know? Like you said, when you're making music, you're like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, you know? When you're locked in with Jeannie, it's like, yes. Like you said, you feel home. But two things can be true. Two spaces can be true, you know?
Yeah. But do you guys get that when you're locked in with your sons?
There are definitely moments when I have that. There are definitely moments when I feel like, or I kind of forget what I'm doing and where I am, and I'm just like, we're just like solely connected, and you are with your children anyway, but I love those moments when I kind of forget we're even like what we're doing, and we're just locked in. I know what you mean. And I get that with DJing as well. Sometimes there's special moments when you get those special moments and you're like, okay, this feels good.
Nice. Everything flows.
Yes. Yes, exactly. A flow state. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been amazing to get this little insight into your world of motherhood, and also just to feel your presence is like really beautiful, because I think you have this very special energy about you, even though it's over Zoom, but it's also translated in your music. And thank you so much for creating such this years and years of incredible creative output that you've put into the world, and your contribution to culture is like massive, and huge. Thank you for that, and thank you for your time today, and
for your advice. I feel like I've taken a few of the things that you said, and I'm just going to store them and remember them. So thank you for those bits of
thank
information.
You guys so much. No, I really appreciate you, and I think, good luck with everything, and I think
you too.
And good luck with the tour as well. Good
luck.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited. And I think that it's important to, to really know that even if you have kids, and even if you don't have maybe all the practical aspects on your side, that it's important to own that space and to feel relevant, and to have your story be heard, because it's like we don't need only to put all the light on the up and coming 19-year-old pop star. We all are here, and we need to hear different perspectives. And I think just feeling important and knowing that each and everyone's story is important is a good reminder, even when you're a mother. Yeah, right?
Yes, yes. I love that. That is a beautiful way to...
Maybe more so, not even when, but more so when you're...
Yeah, more so.
Yeah, definitely. That was a beautiful, beautiful way to end this lovely conversation. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Taking the time.